You know, in the 1970s, there were a lot of environmental films, and there were a lot of sci-fi and action-heavy movies, and it's truly was a decade to just be alive. You know, it's like we're here in the year 2024, about to be 2025, and this world is just going into complete chaos. You know, it's like sometimes you gotta look at what was being said in the 70s and see how it gets reflected here in this era, and in this case, silent running. As this science fiction classic opens, botanist Freeman Lowell, Bruce Dern, has spent 8 years aboard the space freighter Valley Forge, preserving the only botanical species left from Earth under huge geodesic domes. When he receives orders to destroy the project and return home, Lowell rebels and hijacks the freighter, while plunging the craft into the gaseous rings of Saturn. From that moment on, he only has the trees, the gardens, and two drone robots, Huey and Dewey, to keep him company on the greatest adventure of all. Starring Bruce Dern with Cliff Potts, Ron Rifkin, Jesse Vint, and the Drones, and original songs sung by Joan Baez. 1971, 1 hour and 30 minutes. Definitely a cult classic. So, what did I think of this? Well, sometimes there are certain movies that can be carried by one person, other times they cannot, where you may just need two. And I feel like this movie that Douglas Trumbull directed was trying to be 2001: A Space Odyssey Part 2, except being an environmentalist, because he worked on the special effects with Stanley Kubrick, and for the most part it works. Taking place in the not distant future, you know, it's like all the domes and everything, and it's just, we get to see them just bantering. It's like we get to see Freeman Lowell, who I swear it sounds like an attorney's office. Anyway, and yeah, he eventually just, it's like, hey, they receive a mission to discard everything, and eventually he doesn't want that. He wants to preserve nature. And this movie tries to be very ambitious. Ambitious in the sense that, as Google described this, lyrical and poetic, I guess. And for the most part, it is lyrical. Lyrical because it takes place on one ship, the Valley Forge. And we get to see a couple different sets. We get to see the dome, we get to see the command central, like a bedroom, and things. And it feels like this movie is going to be huge and massive, but it's actually laid down. It's actually minimalist in the right way, because it's, again, just a guy and two robots. They're actually, 4 amputees or something like that, who portrayed Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Of course, a reference to the Donald Duck's nephews. That was kind of funny, because they were small. So for a while, it's like, okay, we get to see his relationship with these robots that he genuinely does care for. But there are just a couple scenes where it's like Dern does a fine job, but even I had to laugh at some things. I'm like, he's wearing robes because he sees himself as a Christ-like figure, right down to his ankles, and I'm like, wait, what? You see yourself as someone who's trying to save people, and you're just trying to save the environment? I'm like, that just looked, I don't know, it just looked too hippie-ish, I guess, but whatever. And then he's also playing poker with them. It's like, and then the drones kind of show each other's hands, and drone number 1 has the advantage over number 2, and I'm like, what? Just the communication. I'm like, okay, that's weird, and I don't know. It just seems, it's like this movie is definitely very good. It just seems like it's just falling short of something. If I had to guess at something short, I guess maybe should have been more inner conflict. If I was the director, I would have had one of the two other guys who was, well, because the other 3 get billed, but I just feel like that one of them should be at least been kept alive longer. The one who does sympathize with Lowell, where they should have discussed about the nature of man and the forest and everything, because this is a heavily pro-environment movie. I mean, it really is. right down to examining a leaf, figuring out why are these plants dying, like just looking at the dirt and everything else, and it's just like I said, it's lyrical in the sense of there's no music. You have to pay attention to the visuals because this is a slow-paced movie, and I knew that going in when I was reading the description, and it's like, yes, I see that it is. And it's like, I mean, at an hour and 30 minutes, it does feel like it's an hour and 30 minutes, but you gotta zone in because this movie forces you to pay attention to the like what happens without the environment and things like that. And it just the music of Joan Baez, where she talks about what was that like what was the loss of innocence. I guess you could contribute that to the loss of the environment because man was trying to invade itself, and it's like just the acoustic guitar, no drums, does make it poignant and lyrical, pardon the pun. And it's like he's got the long hair, doesn't have a beard like Christ did. So it's almost like it's like if Jesus just didn't have any facial hair. That's what I call him. Yeah, it's like we get to see their adventures, the camaraderie between the drones, and Lowell is 100%. It feels genuine because when you're running, because it's like when you're trying to be because there's going to be this Berkshire ship that's going to rescue him, and of course Lowell's pretending that like an explosion happened, but when he just kind of billed his crewmates, he's lying, and they've been in this like, hey, I'm trying to do what I can to save the environment. I'm going to go ahead and just detach this. Drone number 1, you go take care of him. Drone number 2 got injured, so he ultimately what happens is, where's the big Earth devastating kaboom, to quote Marvin the Martian, and ultimately that is what does happen. It's like it's done not in a slow-mo, but in a lyrical way where again you have to pay attention. And yeah, it just feels like this movie is great, but it could have just had a little bit more because Bruce Dern does carry this movie good. He's also the voice of Chucky in Child's Play. But yeah. Some of the scenes in this movie, some of the like this, what was that? The props were in Douglas Trumbull's storage for a long time, and sometimes some fans would get it. Now it's like in some what was that? Like a environmental museum or a sci-fi museum or something like that. So it's interesting to see like everything that happened. So it was like as a first directorial debut from Douglas, it's pretty gosh darn good. Then it eventually make some other movies, and Dern would eventually get famous. He would be, I knew he was something else. He was the voice of Chucky and something else. Anyway, so yeah, this is definitely a good gem to watch if you want something that's lyrical, that has a couple of what the heck am I looking at scenes. So yeah, if you want a cult classic and you want to see a environmental movie, then I recommend you watch Silent Running.